Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi. I'm having the most beautiful moment with God this morning. I was sitting in just reverence of how much God loves us. Just like the love, the overwhelming love of God. Really, truly God, not what everybody thinks God is, not the label, not the projection, not the ideology, not a book, but God really, who really God is. And I just am so in awe. I don't know how much God loves us. How much, and you know, it's been difficult for me because I was raised Pentecostals. My grandparents ran the church, so I was raised in a cult basically, and so I didn't realize that God was a being of love. Really, I thought that God was going to smite you down and hurt you for stuff, and so all of a sudden I'm seeing like once your concept of God changes, God can now change. Like, I'm not creating a narcissistic deity anymore. One who gives just to take away, you know what I mean? No, no, no. Now I'm seeing God as one who just simply wants to give all the time, just provide all the time. Through everyone, right? I mean, that's what manifesting really is. That's what acquiring anything in this life, the universe uses people to do so, right? And I used to think that people just hated me for the longest time. I mean, I was adopted, and then I was abused every single day by my dad, by my real dad, or my stepdad. I mean, my real dad, I didn't really know him at all, and I thought that men in general are just mean and masculines. Masculine energy in its entirety is just evil. But then today I just felt this overwhelming sense of like God really is so loving. And there's so much potential as a daughter of the living God, of the Father. I feel like I'm a daughter. I see God today as like he's my real father, So I had two dads, and both of them abandoned me, really. And so I never got to know what it was like to have a stable man in my life. And I'm single, so I don't have a stable man in my life. I am my stable man in my life. And I'm seeing that the God self within me is the one providing for me. I mean, yeah, technically that's how it's been my whole life. I'm 34 years old. Like, I've always been providing for me, really, but this is different. This is like giving myself permission to want people to provide, right? Like companies to send me money if I'm struggling, and my landlord to go easy on me and maybe not charge me a late fee, and if I see a jogger on the street, like they'd stop for me so I could pet their dog. I know it's weird, but that's kind of what I dream about. So weird. But yeah, I feel like I've never seen God like this before. It's like the most amazing thing. And so many people think that God is something external, and then we get mad because there is no guy in the sky that's saving you. Religion did such a shit job at teaching this world about what God is, and I'm over that. I'm over it. I know you're over it. I think it's the whole Saturn and Pisces thing. I think that lasts for like 3 years. Saturn's in Pisces. I think the whole world now is starting to look at it, right? Saturn is a planet of restriction and confinement in a way. It makes you really look at things. And Pisces is so dreamlike and ethereal. So Saturn, structure, in Pisces, dreamlike. It's going to make a lot of people wonder why we believe what we believe. You know? I think that, you know, what is so sad is that there are people who believe if they stand at a pulpit and preach the version of truth that they believe is true, that like somehow it'll help them get into heaven. It'll help. It's actually doing worse. It's like, let people come to their own conclusion. Let people learn on their own. Don't force it down their throat, you know? But that's what religion does. So that's why I'm anti-religion all the way. Yeah. Anti-religion. I hate religion. Hate it. I mean, I know that's a strong word, but I hate it. I really hate it. But I love Christ. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. And I love God the Father. And I love God the Mother. And I love Goddess. I love everything. But I hate religion. Because it's a structure. It's a fallacy. It's an ideology. It's indoctrination is what it is, and I can't stand it. I don't know, I hate it. And I just saw what God is. God really isn't hate. God is love. And it's like I can respect religion now in a way. Like I might hate it, but I understand why people do it. You know? I get it. We want something to cling on to. Because the opposite is terrifying. Think about it. If there's not something out there that you can see with your physical eyes that can control your life, you know, and I'm asking you to broaden your horizon and start thinking that maybe you are God, you know, that's going to cause a lot of people to freak out because we don't trust ourselves. We're humans. Like, we do shit on the daily that we don't want to do. We do it on autopilot. We hurt people. We gossip. We eat way too many Twinkies. I mean, I don't know anybody who does that. But... And so we're not going to trust ourselves as creators. We don't trust ourselves as God. So when I sit here and say to you guys boldly, like, ye are gods, just like Jesus said that shit, you know, everybody's been saying that. Well, I mean, not everybody. Really not a lot of people. But Jesus did try to get you to see it, you know. We don't trust ourselves. So when I say boldly, like, ye are gods, do you not get it? Like, you're God. People don't get it. They don't want to get it. They don't want to let go of that mindset that something external has to be pleased with them. Because they're not pleased with them. They're not pleased with themselves. So they're going to look to something external, and that external thing is damning them to hell or blessing them to heaven. You know, it's external, but it's just it's an illusion. And I think that was the hardest thing for me, was realizing that I created God in my image, not the other way around. I made a narcissistic God because all I ever saw in my life were narcissists. People who would give, yeah, they'd give to you, but it'd be a quid pro quo. They'd give just to take away. So I created a narcissistic God. And I just had about 20 minutes with a God that's not narcissistic at all. I was moved to tears. I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be there every minute of every day. I want to know God like that. Every minute of every day. And I don't know, I saw it 11 years ago, you know, I had an out-of-body experience 11 years ago, and I met God there during meditation. I was sober, I just was meditating, and I had an out-of-body experience. I didn't even know you could really have those. I thought only old people on their deathbed got to experience that. But yeah, it was about 30 seconds. It didn't last nearly long enough. And I met God then. But then I went 11 years suffering. Because I knew that it existed. I knew that God love. I knew love. But then I had to know the opposite of it. For 11 years, you know? And I just feel like for 20 minutes, I was able to be back there again. What lasted 30 seconds 11 years ago lasted 20 minutes today. And I mean, that's not great progress, I would think. After 11 years of suffering, you really hope for a lot longer than 20 minutes in ecstasy. But yeah, I'm grateful for it. You know, there's so much beauty here. What looks like a very dire situation in my 3D reality isn't. It's not. It's not. It's beautiful. Rock bottom for me is so beautiful. It's not really rock bottom. God was here all along. God provided for me, took care of me. I had a shelter. I had clean drinking water. I met beautiful people along the way that loved me and would give me divine messages and inspire me and uplift me. And it might have been the dark night of the soul, but I'm looking back at it now like it wasn't that dark. There was light there. I don't know, I'm just so in love with God right now. The way that you're allowed to have it is inspiring. That you can just have it. You can just want it and have it if you want. But like the longest road for me was being around people who didn't want me to have it. I remember when I told my mom about how I wanted to start meditating. This was before meditation was a thing. This was before the awakening for the whole planet. You know, this was way back when. I told her I want to meditate. And she was like, oh, so against it. She was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's the doorway to devils. You know this. We don't do that here. We were very Christian, very, very religious Christian upbringing. So I said, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I was already on anxiety medication, antidepressants, antipsychotics. I was an alcoholic, a food addict, and a sex addict. And I was like, I'm already dealing with the devil. Don't you get it? Don't you see your daughter in pain? Maybe there's one thing that Eastern mystics are doing other people aren't. It's like they get it. They have some sort of happiness. They found peace in some way. Like, I just want to try it. So she called my grandmother, who's the pastor. And she's like, you just sit your little happy hiney right there. I'm going to call your grandmother. So she called my grandma. And of course, like, an hour later, she called back. Don't do it. Jenna Lynn, I better find out you did not deal with the devil. So I did it anyway. One, I was a grown-ass adult. I was 21 years old, about. Secondly, what was 11 years ago? I was probably 22 then. Something like that. I was an adult, and so I did it. And about the third time ever meditating, I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. I went to God. I went to some place within myself that is so high vibrational and so stunning, so perfect, so glorious that, I had to leave everything else that isn't that. And so I, until today, didn't think I'd ever get back there, really. I didn't think I'd have that ecstasy, that bliss again. I'm just so in love with the one that saved me. I'm in love with the one that saved me. Me. Really. That's the truth. I'm in love with the one that said, no, Mom, I'm doing this. I'm in love with the one that got off anti-anxiety medications. I'm in love with the one that sent my ass to therapy for 10 years. I'm in love with the one that wakes up every single day to put a smile on people's face. I'm in love with myself. And it's such a beautiful feeling knowing that you are God and that you have a freedom. You have a right to that freedom. You have a duty to that freedom to not only know that you are God, confess it out loud every day, and to live in that energy of not only am I God, but no one can stop me from knowing that. No one will ever take that power from me, ever again. My own family couldn't. The people that I talk to on a daily basis couldn't. So I'm having this moment with God today, and it's, I don't know. It's like everything's perfect. You know, I don't need huge YouTube views. I don't need $1 million in my bank account. I don't need a text or a call from a guy that I'm into. I don't need that. I don't need it. I just need right now to tell you about this story, and I need to drink my tea, and that's it. I need to look outside at the birds flying, and I need to see that the sun is shining, and I need to see that I am God. I don't need anything else. That's when you really figure it out, you know? Well, I mean, you hope and pray that you figured it out, because like that felt pretty real. And yeah, it only lasted 20 minutes. But you're hoping and praying that like that was some sort, you have the key now. You know, like it lasted 30 seconds a decade ago. But now we're up to 20 minutes. I mean, that's progress. So yeah, the whole like getting kicked out of heaven thing, totally real. Totally real. I'm in good company, I guess. Lucifer also had that problem. Yeah, I guess I loved Lucifer way before it was cool. I loved Lucifer, wow, for a really long time. The Lightbringer. I've loved the Lightbringer far before other people knew he was the Lightbringer, and it got me persecuted a lot. I was told I was following the false light because I met a being of light, actually. So I was told I was following the false light for 11 years. And it was so painful, man. People calling me a cult leader, Satan worshiper, a demon, Jezebel spirit, all this nonsense. Well, whatever. It's not nonsense. In some reality, in their reality, that's who I am. So I'm not going to really shun their beliefs. That's what they believed. And actually, now that I look back, I felt more relief in just letting them have their way with it. I felt more relief in just saying, like, you know what? You're allowed to have whatever feeling you want. That is literally what I want for everyone, is to have spiritual freedom. I want everyone to know your reality is perfect. What you think, that is the rule. That is it. In your universe, what you're doing and speaking and believing and saying, that's reality. I just am going to take myself away from it because your reality and my reality don't jive. But I love that you have the freedom and the permission to think I'm a demon. Isn't that great? Isn't that so amazing what free will can do? I love it. I love seeing it now. I love seeing that the true God, true love, like true God, right? Source energy would give you free will, would want you to have that free will. The opposite is trying to hit people over the head with the Bible and be like, well, I know better because I saw it. I saw God, so you should trust me. I'm not the devil. I'm not the devil. But like literally just releasing and being like, you know what, okay? In your reality, I'm the devil. That's a great thing that you have that belief for yourself. That you stand in your conviction that strongly. You know? It's once you take the ego out of it, with the ego is fear, you know? Like once you take out the whole, I was afraid that I'd be burned at the stake for what I am and what I know and what I talk about. Once I got out of my own ego, I wasn't offended by them saying that anymore. My own ego was the thing resisting. Because I didn't want them to be able to hurt me. But once you just acknowledge like they're hurting me, it's over. Saying like, yeah, it hurts that you think I'm the devil. But I respect it. I respect it. You're at that stage of your life. You're still indoctrinated in religion. It's cool. You still have your beliefs. And I have mine. So this is where I just detach and let go and say, that's your reality, that's not mine. My reality is I'm God and I get whatever I want because I'm divine. Not because I'm the angel of death, but because I'm light. This is where it really pays to know thyself. So I know that a lot of you right now are feeling this pull to do something really profound, because I've been channeling messages for the last couple of days about this huge shift that you have. And plus, the North Node moved into Aries, and it'll be there for a year and a half. So everybody now is feeling this pull and call to step up and lead in your life, to be the leader in your life, right? Aries energy, Mars, masculine, driven, ambitious. So now everybody's being tasked for the last week or so. You've been like 10 days, I think. You've been feeling that shift. But yeah, you've got to really deal with this problem. Not wanting to be seen. Not wanting to be heard. That was my biggest fear. Because I was attached to my mom still. Energetically speaking, she and I had so many cords of attachment. We were just so enmeshed with each other that I didn't even know where she began and where I ended. And so I became her. And in her reality, people like me get stoned to death. In her reality, people like me end up in straitjackets. And the whole burn the witch thing, it's a real thing. So I had to distance myself from that, be like, that's your reality, that's your belief. My belief in reality is that God protects me and would never let anything hurt me ever, because that's not what a loving father would do. A loving father would protect me, provide for me, keep me safe, sheltered. I have 1,000 angels on the ready at any given moment. That's how beautiful my reality is. And I'm looking at it now and I think to myself, has my reality been that beautiful for 11 years and I just didn't know because I was so enmeshed with everyone else? Was I actually already there? Was I already in heaven for 11 years and I just didn't know it? I've actually never really asked myself that until right this second. I'm wondering, oh God. Knowing you could have had that all along, but you settled instead. I don't even want to think about that. Cognitive dissonance, I'm tuning it out. I don't want to know. You know, but yeah, God, what is God, right? What is God? What is love? Love is God. God is love. But so many of us, we hear the word love and we're like, okay, yeah, that's love. No, love isn't a word. Love isn't really a feeling. Is it a frequency? Is it a vibration? Is it an emotion? What is it? What is it? What is God? Okay, if we don't even know what God is, then most of us are shit out of luck down here and ever trying to find it if we don't know what God is. All I knew when I was 22 and I did that meditation was I could maybe possibly get off my anti-anxiety medication. Because the girl that was teaching me meditation, she was a witch that I worked with, who later turned out to be my mentor, who taught me tarot and divination and the occult, basically. But she was teaching me at the time just to meditate. I didn't know that God existed. I just knew I wanted to get off my panic attack medication. So I think that the world right now is looking for something. They're hungering for something. They need something. They don't know what they need. They just know they're not finding it in a pill bottle. They're not finding it in a bottle of Jack. They're not finding it and, watching inappropriate content. They're not finding it there anymore. And where are you going to find it? A revolution is happening whether people want to believe it or not. A spiritual, silent revolution is happening. And it's starting at the very back of the church. It's starting at the very last row, the very last pew, with the guy that's got his arms folded every Sunday and is like, I don't believe this shit anymore. And it's starting all across the world. And I guess I was that guy sitting in the back pew with my arms crossed 11 years ago. And I'm just now finally getting to the promised land, finally seeing that I can have God for at least 20 minutes a day, at least. And it wasn't even meditating, guys. I was just listening to music and dancing. That's it. It wasn't even really dancing. I was kind of more swaying. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't have to do anything. I guess what I want my platform to be about is showing you guys what God is. Showing you that there is light after the dark. That it's not supposed to be heavy forever. It's not supposed to be leaving everybody, losing your animals, your health, loved ones to disease and famine and not knowing where your bills are going to get paid next. And, it's not supposed to be that. There's a place for it. You got to learn what you don't want so you can try to manifest what you do want. But after a while, the suffering can end. And I don't think until the Aries North Node, the nodal shift that happened, which will take place for, a year and a half, I don't think I actually recognize what I'm even fighting for. Why do I even have a platform? Why do I even read cards? Why do I even talk to myself? Why do I do anything? Why do I even pay rent? Why am I single? Why do I not just settle down with some guy and have kids and like a dog and a white picket fence and move on with my life? Why do I do anything? Why do I do anything that I do? And it's like, it's really showing me like as an Aries, a North Node now is an Aries, I really have got to see that like I'm here to do something. And you guys are here to do something. You're here to do something. It's not supposed to be hard all the time. You're supposed to get a reprieve every once in a while for 20 minutes a day. You don't know what you're looking for? Great. Admit it. You don't know that you're not satisfied, but you're not satisfied. So admit that. Start there. But you're going to have to do something that other people around you are telling you not to do. For some of you, maybe it's leadership. For some of you, it might be dabbling and learning divination. Some of you might be meditating. Some of you, it's just leaving the church. Some of you, it's writing a book. Some of you, it's just leaving a house and going somewhere that your family doesn't want you to do. And I don't know what it is. But you are being asked by Spirit to do it. And I hate to say it, but you're not going to find that fulfillment until you do. You'll keep turning to some substance, some vice, and it won't work. It won't. It'll keep your mind in a fog, in a funk, but you'll convince yourself that it's freeing you. You'll convince yourself it helps you think, it helps you sleep, helps you concentrate. You'll convince yourself of that truth, but that's not really truth. So, again, a revolution is here whether you want to believe it or not. Every person on the planet is forced to make a choice now. I just want to know God. My choice was made for me unexpectedly 11 years ago. I already made that choice. I made the choice the second I meditated, listened to that music, and in 30 seconds, my whole life changed. I made that decision then. And then I had to consistently stand by it every single day when opposition would come and somebody would tell me like, but you're the devil though, you get that? No, I don't get that. So I'd have to leave everybody behind. Every friend, every foe, even my dogs. I had to leave everything in my old life. And I know what it's like to be this scared to start something new. But you have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear but fear itself, really. And the reason that you are so fearful, collective, is because you're attached to the people that are attached to a mindset. You're attached to people who are attached to things. You're attached to people who are attached to attachments, outcomes, realities, constructs. You're attached to those that are attached. And you want to be free? That's not going to happen. You're not going to be free. You're not free. You're not free. You're attached to people who are not free. Right? So, I just had this moment where I'm just so in love with God. And that finally, for the first time in my life, I'm allowed to say no to someone else's distorted reality. I mean, I'd been saying it for 11 years. But this time, it's conscious. It's not an autopilot kind of thing. Like, I'm choosing consciously to say, like, that's your reality. You're allowed to believe it. But it doesn't match mine, so we're done. I've never seen it so clearly before. I was doing it out of, well, obligation, necessity. Before, I mean, I just wanted to feel better, so I needed to leave people who were making me feel bad. But now, it's like, I want to do it because it's the right thing to do. Just like eating a salad is the right thing to do. I'd love to try that. Maybe less Twinkies, a little bit more salad. But the point is, I'm not attached. I'm free. And for the first time in my life, I can say that and truly know that it's true and mean it and not care that other people get mad at it. I'm free. I have freed myself from the matrix. I have freed myself from the ego, the egoic mind. And there's nothing wrong with saying that anymore. There's nothing wrong with feeling that truth. And there are, of course, external energies which would be combative and say, like, wow, that's something, a cult leader would say, or that's so high and mighty of you to think that you escaped the matrix. But again, their reality, my reality is different. So I'm in love with God. I love God. I'll love God forever. And the beauty of it is God will love me forever. No matter if I love God or not, God loves me forever. Even in rock bottom, when I hated God, I hated source, I hated divinity, I hated anything that was getting me to change. Even at rock bottom, I was still taken care of, provided for, had a roof over my head, food in my fridge. I mean, not always. Sometimes poverty was real. But I also have to see now, looking back, poverty was a lack mindset that doesn't really even exist. I mean, it exists, yeah, poverty exists, the emotion, the feeling of the fear, the pain, the agony, the stomach grumbling, yeah, that was real. But no, there's no but. That is just real. Poverty is real. Fear is real. Pain is real. But that's one reality. I never knew that I'd find another reality ever until about a half hour ago. I'm allowed to want what I want. I'm allowed to have what I have. I'm allowed to say what I want to say. I'm allowed to be free. I'm allowed to be a free bird in a jail cell, in a world that thinks of itself as the prison guard. In the matrix itself, The Matrix doesn't really want you to escape. But you're allowed to escape, and you're allowed to be proud of it, and you're allowed to tune out everyone else that convince you you're not free. You are free. Go be free. Others, I hope you get free. I hope that you realize you don't need to be attached to people that are attached to things. You can get free. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that. I don't know. I loved it. It was beautiful, and today is beautiful, and God's beautiful. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.